Hi everyone, this is day 3 of my fast. Day 3 of 40. I'm back in Daniel today. So it's late at night and I've completed my fast from no food, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Probably around 3 today. I was starving. I threw on some worship music, drank tons of fluids, and tried to take my mind off of it. I went into prayer. And I just felt really tired. I had to change my position slowly. I know I'm still eating, so in the evening I kind of get my energy back. But it's a lot, especially with 6 kids, to try to manage everything. So I was kind of feeling it today on day 3. Plus I'm not drinking as much caffeine as I normally do. So today was a bit of a challenge. But the tools that I use were just pressing into prayer and also worship music. In my devotional time earlier today, the Lord spoke to me on Psalm 24, clean hands and pure heart. That was another subject that came up in the kids' ramp that we just attended. So I prayed and spent some time with the Lord on that, participated in an intercession group that was really powerful this morning or this afternoon, and spent some time with the Lord then. And then this evening I was just reading in Daniel about the story of Nebuchadnezzar and his dream about a tree where he gets cut down, and the Lord began speaking to me about pride and some areas of pride in my own life that I had to, address with the Lord, and he corrected me on. And I think it's easy to give over to pride, and as you can see in Nebuchadnezzar's story, he didn't heed the warning. The Lord had given him these dreams, and how often do we have dreams that the Lord gives us? And some dreams are warnings, some dreams are challenging, and some dreams are correction. And it's so important to pay attention to the way the Lord speaks to us, and you can see that play out in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. And if you're not familiar with the story, he has this dream where this tree gets cut down, and Daniel gives him the interpretation of the dream. In Daniel 4, he says, it basically, he's getting cut down, and he will be removed from his seat of honor into eating grass like a cow, and you'll be drenched with the dew of heaven. 7 periods of time will pass while you live this way, until you learn that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world and gives them to anyone he chooses. And that's in Daniel 24:24. But the stump and roots of the tree were left in the ground, meaning the Lord had taken everything but his roots. This means that you will receive your kingdom back again when you learn that heaven rules. King Nebuchadnezzar, please accept my advice, Daniel says. Stop sinning and do what is right. Break from your wicked past and be merciful to the poor. Perhaps then you will continue to prosper. So Daniel gives him this warning in his interpretation of the dream. But the very next verse, in verse 28, says, but all these things did happen to King Nebuchadnezzar. 12 months later, he was taking a walk on the flat roof of the royal palace in Babylon. He looked out across the city, and he was just saying, my own power, I have built this city. Again, pride, pride, pride is what I read in those verses. Well, these words are still in his mouth. A voice from heaven came down and says, this message is for you. You'll be driven from human society. So he's warned again. And then, he just continues to lose it all in the next couple verses. So it's interesting how this story plays out. Obviously, Nebuchadnezzar was drawn to Daniel. He says over and over, the Spirit of God was in Daniel. And we know, the Spirit of God just didn't rest on anybody in the Old Testament. It had to be righteous, people who were consecrated, people who were in fellowship with God. It was a unique person that the Spirit of God rested on. So Nebuchadnezzar was drawn to that. He was drawn to the things of God. And God was giving him free will to try to come into his own. And the Lord is dealing with me on that. He gives me free will to make decisions. And I just think the story of Nebuchadnezzar and Daniel, and the draw that Nebuchadnezzar has towards Daniel, it's You know, we just want to learn what we can from this whole story. Come against pride, renounce pride. Don't let pride come up in your relationships. Don't let pride keep you from humbly apologizing and seeing where you need to be in the situation. Be quick to apologize. Be quick to go low. I've learned that a lot in the last couple of months. Just go low. It's not worth it. It's not worth a fight. It's not worth anything. It's not worth losing a relationship. Just humility is the way to go. So, that's kind of my thoughts on today. And then in my Bible, I'm reading from an NLT spiritual Bible. It says the danger of pride and self-reliance. There's a couple Bible verses. 1 Chronicles 21, identify pride in our own lives. Proverbs 27:6, the evil of pride. Ezekiel 28:1-19, and beware the yeast of spiritual pride. Mark 8:14-21. I'm going to turn to that, because that has me intrigued. Mark 8. Mark. I apologize. This is kind of last minute. I wasn't planning on doing this, but Mark 8:14-21. But the disciples had forgotten to bring any food. They only had one loaf of bread with them in the boat. As they were crossing the lake, Jesus warned them, watch out, beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and of Herod. At this, they began to argue with each other because they hadn't brought any bread. Jesus knew what they were saying, so he said, why are you arguing about having no bread? Don't you know or understand even yet? Or are your hearts too hard to take it in? You have eyes, can't you see? You have ears, can't you hear? Don't you remember anything at all when I fed the 5,000 with 5 loaves of bread? How many baskets of leftovers did you pick up afterward? 12, they said. And when I fed with 4,000 with 7 loaves, how many large baskets of leftovers did you pick up? 7, they said. Don't you understand yet? He asked. So that's powerful. We always have to believe. Don't take on pride. God will work miracles with what we have. It's not ours anyway. That's an interesting story. So those are my thoughts tonight. Praise the Lord. Made it through day 3. Can't wait for tomorrow. Blessings, everyone.